Well, it happened. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, and we sized up a little bit, and we're at max loss for the day. As you can see on screen, today we're down $70.51, trading with 100 shares on most of our trades here. And I didn't feel like I particularly did poorly on any of my trades. They just all didn't work. There is one trade that I'm going to go over that maybe I should have stayed out of. One or two trades. But let's open up the VOD and go over it very quickly here. So we started the day watching our two top leading gainers, which were XOS and PFSA. They're both up over 100%. XOS at 7 a.m. Ended up just going sideways. It popped up and then failed. And so we were watching PFSA for the breakthrough VWAP. This was our first trade for the day. We popped through, pulled back to VWAP, did a little bit of an ABCD pattern. I didn't take the trade right away because I was waiting to see if it would hold up. Because I've been more cautious recently since the price action in the market has been really choppy. We have a couple of topping tails, but we end up holding with higher volume buying, lighter volume selling. And on the pullback on the 10-second right here, I'm thinking that this might be a good entry for the ABCD pattern on the 1-minute chart. So 14 seconds left on this candle close. And I'm thinking about taking a position to anticipate first candle to make a new high in the retest of 1150. Since we're holding the 20 EMA very well, the volume profile looks good, and I take a position. Top is about 1075, which is just below the low of this pullback here and below the 20 EMA. But I get stopped out. So first trade, I get stopped out as price drops below my stop. And it's a little bit frustrating because it does rally back up here, up near 1140 shortly thereafter, but it doesn't matter because price touched my stop. I had to get stopped out. That's just the way the process works. So we start the day down minus $13. The next trade I take was XOS as it pops through high of day. Right up here. We popped through high of day and we're on a pullback. So I'm waiting to see if it holds 5. And on this pattern right here, as we're holding the low of the pullback, which is about 508, I see it get bought back up off of 508. So I think there's buying support there. Buy at 5, 200 shares since it's moving a bit slower. Stop of 5. And it just grinds around for a little while. It double tops up at 525. And I take half off of the, or not half, I take a third off of the table as it projects off of that level and it doesn't break. I take a third off. And eventually I decide to just get rid of the rest. I hold for a little while longer thinking that maybe we're doing a 1-minute pattern. But we go a little bit early there. We pop up to 525 and I see those sellers there, that big stack of sellers at 520, and I think I'm just going to get out. There's sellers in the way. This thing is moving really slowly. I don't think it's gonna pull away or go anywhere. But once again, it pops up to 540. It takes a little while longer. It takes another 1-minute candle to form, or 713. Yeah, it takes about a minute for it to pop up there. it goes to 540 and then it does a big rejection. If I had been a little bit more patient, then I could have scalped out around 530 maybe for some extra profit. But you know, my exit indicator said that I should get out there as the stock is stalling out and there's a big wall of sellers. GNPX came out with news at 7 a.m. It started popping somewhat quickly. And I'm reading the news. It's a biotech stock, clinical and commercial contract development. Relative volume is still a little bit lighter. And I'm waiting for a proper pullback. I see a big seller popping up in the level 2. But unless I jumped in right away on the first 3 10-second candles to scalp out at 750, then I wouldn't have been able to get anything on this trade. Because by the time it pulled back, the move was already done. A big topping tail shooting star candle in the 10-second and 1-minute candles closing with higher volume selling. So the only way to get in on this trade was if you were to buy the dip down at $6. But that's not really a part of my setups, buying dips right away. So this happened a little bit too quickly for me to take advantage of on the day. We had XOS pop up. I already talked about that. And then for the rest of the day, there were a couple of things moving, but it was mostly really choppy price action. I did get in on SXTC up here. One thing to note about SXTC, which I didn't note right away, I looked back at the VOD and I went through the country, the float, the news, and the change from close, but I kind of ignored the relative volume. And I'm not sure, I did look at the daily, but I didn't look at the volume of the previous day, and I'm not sure if I zoomed out to scroll. So I see that it's moving quickly. It's up near high a day. I open up the ticker and think it's up 50%, close to our top 5 leading gainers there. And I don't go through my usual checks to zoom out on the 5-minute to see if there's anything that happened on the previous day. I'm looking to see if there's a pullback here below high of day. I don't take this pullback because of this high red volume spinning top candle, thinking that maybe this is going to end up rejecting. Right there, it has a big pop. Probably, I think Ross might have taken a position here. I have to look at his recap later to see, but there's a big pop, big spike of volume there. And it was a little bit too quick for me to jump in on. But up here, I'm looking at this potential micro pullback for the hold of $6. I take a position with a stop of 6. And immediately a big seller pops up there and stops me out. So if I take a look at this trade objectively, relative volume was about 2. Someone mentioned after the fact that there's some descending resistance up here on the 1-minute candle. If you immediately draw a descending resistance from the previous day, then it matches approximately to the high of this candle here. So I think the key lesson is on this stock is to make sure that we're paying attention to the previous day. I normally do. I'm not sure why I didn't check it today. But hindsight is 2020, right? If this had worked out, then we wouldn't be second guessing ourselves. And Ross did take a trade on it down here as it broke through high of day, so clearly he wasn't too worried about the relative volume either. But I get stopped out on the first pullback. We wait to see if it holds up, because now I'm down $13 on the day once again. and I'm watching to see if it holds 580. So the hold of 580 and $6. It bounced twice off of 580. And I'm seeing it bounce here off of 580 once again. The high of the 1 minute candle is about 610. So I'm thinking that if we break back through $6 with the 1 minute candle closing, then it could be an entry for first candle make a new high. I'm watching. We got 5 seconds left on the candle. It's about to close as a dragonfly. So take a position, 100 shares, $6, stop of 580, which is the low of the pullback, and we drop there really, really quickly. And I get stopped out once again for somewhat of a bigger loss because my stop is 580, but I ended up getting out 10 cents below the stop. So it's 570 and lose 32 bucks. So we're still feeling like we took the entries according to our strategy and our process. And I'm just thinking that today is a really unlucky day, right? I didn't see anything particularly wrong with all the setups that I took, except for SXTC. I didn't consider the fact that it was on lower relative volume from a previous day, which made a previous high. And we're kind of on the backside of that move. But I thought that the other setups were according to our process. And now at this point, I'm down $46 and I have to be really careful about my entries. SLE pops up, but this one is also on lighter relative volume right now. We have continuation from a previous day that had 21 million shares of volume. Relative volume is a little bit lighter. We're moving up on it. It has some news, but the news is 2100 Bitcoin in US Bitcoin Treasury platform. And I thought when I read this headline that this is an outdated headline. You know, Bitcoin and the US Treasury strategy is kind of last year's theme from 2025. I was thinking, you know, they're a year too late. Like, is this news headline really going to work? We have lower relative volume. It had sold off the previous day. Big red volume candle. If I don't take any of the pullbacks on the way up, waiting to see if it holds up so that I can be confident about taking an entry on it. Wait for the 1 minute pullback. We're holding the 9 EMA fairly well. The low of this previous 1 minute candle was about 506. So I was thinking that if this holds $5, this could be a bull flag pattern on the 1 minute. First candle will make a new high for the retest of about 575. Higher volume buying, lighter volume selling. And right as the candle closes here, I see that it's holding. We kind of wicked through there. I'll rewind a little bit. So if we watch the level 2 and we watch the candle on the 1 minute forming at the same time, it dropped down to $5 and it got bought back up once. There's green on the tape. Now, as it's moving up, getting closer to 537, I buy a little bit early to anticipate first candle to make a new high above 537. It breaks for a moment and then does a false breakout and stops me out immediately. And at that point, I raise my hands. I say, I'm done for the day. No more trades. Now we're going to be emotionally compromised since we lost 1, 2, 3, 4 trades today. The first 2 trades kind of got canceled out, right? But now we have 3 losing trades in a row, and we're at max loss for the day after that. You know, if you look back at this trade, I don't particularly think that there were any mistakes on this trade. We're up 70% on the day. It was our 4th leading gainer. There wasn't anything else moving at the time. It was close to 5 relative volume. We had a nice pattern on the 1 minute. Higher volume buying, lighter volume selling. MACD was open. According to our process, we take this trade every time, but it didn't work. So it was a losing trade, but it was a winning trade because I followed the process. Back here on SXTC, you know, all of these trades were trades according to my process, although this was a B quality setup because of the relative volume. You know, it's a Chinese stock with no news as well, so you could call it a C quality setup if you factor in the news, but we've been having a theme in the market recently where Chinese stocks with no news have been moving pretty frequently. And this stock was up over 60% on the day, positioning it to be in our top 5 leading gainers. Once again, nothing else was really moving at the time. So I thought that attention would focus to this and we would have a higher likelihood of it breaking out. So it's like in between a B and a C quality setup, maybe a B minus setup. But the market has been hotter in the past few weeks. So I've still been treating the day as though it were like a, you know, a warmer day, I suppose. So this setup would have normally worked, but didn't work this time. And then I took the stab at the stock once again on the bull flag setup for kind of the same thing. Equality setup didn't work. So what changes after today, right? And I didn't trade anymore for the day. So what changes after today? If we continue having this type of choppy price action on B quality setups, then I'm going to have to default to my cold market strategy and really tighten my stock selection and tighten my setup selection to only trade A quality stocks. Because if I continue bleeding my account in this manner, if I'm trading setups that are good according to my process but not good according to market sentiment, then my days are going to continue being red. Because it doesn't matter if there is no edge in the process, then there's no profit in the outcome. So I might need to recognize that if we continue having this price action, the market's going to be colder, traders are going to be less willing to jump in, and so that means that I'm going to have to default back to stocks with news that are holding up and moving quickly. I'll have to be a lot pickier to make sure that I don't have another one of these red days, especially after I just sized up. Now, am I going to size back down immediately tomorrow? I don't think so. I think I'm going to try to go another day with the same size. If I continue having red days, then there's going to be some cause for concern because we had a red day on Monday, now we had a red day today. If we have another red day on Wednesday, then I have to stop the bleeding. And that means sizing down. But the bright side is, previous to this week, we had 3 green weeks in a row. We have a little bit of a profit cushion to lean back on. And if we do well, we still have 3 more days in the week. So, you know, the $70 red day isn't the end of the world. It's possible that we could end the week green or end it red. Since I'm trading with twice the size that I normally trade, today would be a $35 red day according to my previous days, which is on the higher side, but it's not super bad. We still maintain discipline. We cut our losses where we needed to. We didn't hold and hope. We didn't bag hold. So that's kind of where we're at today. Minus $70 max loss. It sucks. But the only thing we can do is learn and move forward. That's going to be it for me today. One thing to note is that I did earn my YouTube partnership today. They accepted me, which is fantastic. So we're going to be trying to do more for content and hopefully moderating our Discord because we've been having a lot of scammers pop in, messaging everyone. I apologize about that. And just trying to do more in general for the community. But I'll be back at it again live streaming tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern time as per usual. Until then, take care, stay green. We'll see you next time.